time to have a look at the month ahead for June, the month of Gemini. Well, just looking back for a moment, it has been quite a busy month in the sky. And you'll remember last week's dramatic lunar eclipse and the paired solar eclipse 2 weeks before. Eclipses typically come in pairs 2 weeks apart. And there are quite a few of them every year, but this last one was quite dramatic to the eye and also quite important in terms of what's been going on astrologically. Eclipses have never been seen as good omens throughout the history of astrology, always seen as some kind of a threat either to the state or more commonly the head of state. And in the case of South Africa, this last lunar eclipse was very much so. This moon was in Scorpio at the time of the eclipse, and our president is a Scorpio, and he occupies the same little corner of Scorpio that the moon occupied at the time of the eclipse. The important thing about an eclipse, of course, is that it's a shadow. There's a shadow point in the sky that the moon passes through, and that point is currently in Ramaphosa's little corner. Interestingly, it was also there at the birth of South Africa some 28 years ago. And so we do have some indications that this eclipse was important to us. Eclipses mean two things. On the one hand, things being hidden, things that we're not seeing. And in this case, that refers mostly to the president not seeing them, not us. In fact, quite to the contrary. The South African charts at the moment show that the people are very much on the ball. We have a chart for this country that shows that the people will always be very much at the front. And although that's good for the concept of a democracy, it's even more literally true in the case of South Africa. We're loud and we make ourselves heard, and we eventually do get heard. And that's something that is very much increasing over the course of the next month and the next many months. And it's important that that is not what the president is blind to. Certainly, we know that he has been facing many challenges and he's not really out of the woods yet, although more things are beginning to turn in his favor. But I would caution that with the recent eclipse that's been happening in his corner of the chart, President Ramaphosa better look out for things that he's not seeing, well, or at least get others to see them for him. It's like having a blind spot, something that you won't see or that you refuse to see. And he is still troubled by that. But fortunately, as I've said, the people's voice is being heard. We're going to see things like the Monument Flag Project disappear, and perhaps other things. All these things where the people have really felt unheard for a while are rapidly coming to the surface in the next little while. One of the patterns in South Africa's chart at the moment, and somewhat enhanced by the recent eclipses, is that there's old stuff, old baggage that we've been carrying around as a nation for years, probably really since the start of the new South Africa 28 years ago, that's coming to the surface and is being discharged one way or the other. In some cases, that's going to be chickens coming home to roost. And problems that have been pushed under the carpet or otherwise ignored for a long time are going to be very real and very present. While it's great that we get to deal with them, it's also, of course, a little worrying. There are problems after all. But nevertheless, it is our opportunity to discharge them once and for all. And of course, the problems that we do know about that the Zondo report, now complete, has brought to the surface. And we are going to start seeing some action on the Zondo report, perhaps even a little bit more rapid than we expected. That's very much some major steps going forward. Things that have been waiting for a very long time are suddenly going to start coming to light and being dealt with one way or the other. It's not only about the people's voice that is being heard, it is that the government is feeling somewhat cornered or challenged in some way. If there are any by-elections in the month ahead, if I was the ANC, I'd be really watching out for those results. It does look like things are not working very well for them. That also includes their public image, and it includes more things coming to the surface, which we're so used to with this government, but we've certainly been seeing in the last few weeks, more things about various ministers and other people in the government, and in the mood of the Zondo report finally coming into the NPA and perhaps the courts, we're going to see the people wanting action taken in terms of the government and its failings. Kind of about time. It's not a revolution. It's not as if everything's suddenly going to be fixed. Eclipses are periods of challenges. And as I said, these eclipses have been very personal to us, and it means we've got quite a bit of darkness to work through. But the end result is that we're probably going to see some better allocation of resources. Again, the Flag Project is a good example of that, where we are going to see that money being better spent. And while it is obviously the ANC trying to gain some traction, trying to show the people that it's doing what they want, it's also about the resources themselves. And we are going to see some resources going where they need to go, especially financial resources. Unfortunately, on a larger scale, the financial side does not look so well. The rand will continue to struggle. The markets will continue to struggle. Of course, it is a global problem at the moment, so we can't expect dramatic change here. But unfortunately, South Africa's own chart is not looking too great for financial things at the moment. However, it is the bottom of a trough, and in the months ahead, we're going to see some response to that, some ways that we are going to find ourselves, ways to try and climb out of the financial hole. But it is a bit of an issue at the moment and quite a bit of a focus. There also seems to be a prominent woman at this time who might help either bring some of those things into focus or other matters such as gender-based violence and other matters that we might consider issues of special importance to the people, to families, to women, and also financial matters at the same time. So all of these things are going to be brought to the surface. Hopefully that's a female politician who we can look forward to as being an important leader. Leadership is something that we lack in this country, but certainly from the chart's point of view, the prominence, the pushing to the front of this figure who's most likely female does promise some kind of a leadership or something like that. It could also come from the people. It's not necessarily in a political environment per se, a political party. It may very well be someone coming from the people, as we would hope, and as we've seen in the past, is what finally gets things done. It's a voice that is going to be heard, but that is going to struggle to be heard. Nevertheless, the climate, as we've seen for the chart at the moment, is that the people are finally being heard. It's time for us to say what we need to change. It's time for us to kind of go for what we want and have government try and catch up with us rather than the other way around. Could be a good month of Gemini in the long run. What's in it for you? Aries, things are looking good for you in this month in the sense that you can get going with a lot of your plans and put your own voice forward, put your own needs forward. However, there's still some homework that needs to be done in order for those to really work out in the end. There could be some old baggage that you're carrying that needs to be dealt with. There could also be some stuff that you've just swept under the carpet and that you perhaps have forgotten about. It might even be stuff that you don't even know about. It's not about you sweeping it under the carpet, but something seems to come along and you emerge and you think, just as I was getting things going, why on earth has that come up? But this is a month where it's an opportunity to address old issues and have them put behind you once and for all. Those could especially be some kinds of interpersonal issues as well. That could be issues with another member of your family, and that's especially likely to be a female member of your family or a female of some kind. It doesn't have to be a family member really. And it means that these things need to be addressed, especially in the context of old stuff that's being brought along with that. But nevertheless, remember, you are being heard. So this is a time to call the shots and state what you need and put your own requirements at the front. And that will allow for a proper negotiation and a proper clarifying of all the old baggage that needs to be ditched. Taurus, financial matters seem to be at the forefront. And although your finances are looking pretty strong at the moment, your expenses are not looking great. Firstly, it seems like you're spending too much on a project related to work. That might not be something that's entirely within your control, but that does mean that you need to cut corners elsewhere or just be careful elsewhere. And that might also be some unexpected additions whether to that expenditure or in general during the course of this month. It's kind of one of those months where you need to prepare for the unexpected, if that can be done. But just make sure that you've got some room to play with, that you don't over allocate everything that's budgeted for this month, because there might be some surprises. It's not impossible that those can be good surprises. You know, if you've entered a lottery, maybe that's on your side, but it's much more likely to be sudden changes coming and going of financial resources. And even if stuff is coming in, don't get complacent. It's kind of a bit of an unstable month, but your core financial stability is still there. So this is a time to rather protect that core and build on that core in some way. On the whole, it is a time of increase. Most importantly, it's achieved by controlling expenses rather than expecting to win a lottery. Gemini, you also have to look out for your financial resources this month, and this looks like they are slipping through your fingers faster than you know how to hang on to them. It's not a great month for money for you, but it's not like you're going to suffer in any kind of a way. It really means this is a month where you need to rein in a little bit and watch more carefully how you are allocating your own resources. The fact is there are going to be a lot more expenses, and you are going to end up really having to budget and control everything during the course of this month. But that could also be because a lot of those resources are going to people around you who could be dealing with their own financial resources too. So make sure you're not being overly generous. You're not doing that Gemini thing of trying to keep all the people happy all the time, because that could get you into trouble at the moment. What is great is that there's signs of a lot of support around you. Maybe you can turn the whole thing around and draw in some money that is owed to you, or help that could be forthcoming to you. This is a great time to actually receive rather than have to spread yourself very thin, as it looks like you are doing. There could be important information that comes to you. Make use of that information. Be strategic this month so that you ensure that you gain, whether it's resources-wise or information-wise, and bring it to a balance next month. Cancerians, well, no doubt your ruling planet, the moon, is happy to be out of that whole eclipse, and it's time for you to be out of anything that's been eclipsing you too. It's time to reconnect with your world in every way, getting yourself out there and getting connected to people and the people you love. Cancerians, of course, known for their love of family and their connection to family. No doubt you relate to that. Well, this is one of those times when you've got to really emphasize that in your life in every way. Family is going to be important, not always for the best reasons, but it's still time to deal with that, to accept certain things, to sort out some things as well. In every sense, not only family, people are important right now. Connections, communications, social gatherings, all of these things are going to be very important sources at this time of your security, and very likely of your goals being able to be fulfilled. In terms of business, any kind of work, you are able to be seen at this time. You're going to be able to grow your business enormously, but it really does depend on getting yourself out there and making connections with people. That is what the moon is all about during the course of this month of Gemini for you. So make the connections, spread yourself far and wide, be seen, and everything follows smoothly from there. Leo, well, the chart is also talking about money for you, but unlike most of the people this month, it looks like things are looking still quite strong. Things are working a little bit better than you might even expect. You're probably going to end off the month with more money than you might have anticipated, although that is not a good reason to start spending it, of course. Money is not the only important resource. It looks like there's good reason to be strong in what you're doing, strong in what you're thinking, to go with your own plans, your own ideas, your own mission, whatever it may be. Somehow that's a little bit easier said than done. Your chart does show that you're a little bit confused and unsure about something, and you might also be in fear of something that isn't quite expressed for you. It's important to clarify those and perhaps to have some conversations to talk that out in some way. It's a little bit really what I'm saying is the only thing that prevents you from achieving your successes at the moment is these fears or uncertainties or vague things. doesn't necessarily mean there's nothing to be afraid of, but it certainly means it's the vague and undefined nature of them that is creating the bigger problem. So in many ways, with your plans this month, make sure that you know where you stand, you know the variables that you're dealing with, you know the benefits and the dangers in getting your own goals done, and then you're going to be able to make it work best way possible. Virgo, this looks like a month where you can do all those things that Virgos like to do. Firstly, hard work. None of us supposedly really like hard work, but you actually are at your best when you're slogging away at something. For you, it usually isn't even about the goal or the outcome, it's the doing of the hard work, which is how you sometimes get yourself into situations where you're doing things for other people who don't appreciate it. But this is not one of those times. Whether or not it's about them appreciating it or not, it does look like you're getting duly rewarded for what you're doing. And that hopefully means you can concentrate on your own stuff, things that you need to get done, or at the very least, things which do bring in financial or other rewards. Those are high priority, and those should be easy to find right now. The other thing that Virgos love to do is be helpful, and there are going to be plenty of opportunities to do that. Your words are really important at this time. It might just feel like you're saying the obvious, but there's someone who really needs to hear what you've got to say. So don't spend all your energy on work. Social connections and social opportunities are really important at this time, because that's going to give you the opportunity to dispense some excellent advice and make a very big difference in someone else's life. Perhaps even open a few doors for them to achieve their goals. So go for it all the way, Virgo. Libra, well, relationships, the things you seem to love the most, are right at the front of your life at the moment. And this might not be the time that you really want that to be going on. It seems as if there's stuff of your own that you need to do or want to do. Your professional life might be very important right now and demanding a lot of your time. But in the midst of all of this, it looks like relationships are demanding some attention. So if things are going well, if this is an opportunity to sort something out that you've been needing to sort out for the longest time, this is the time to put your energy into that, even though there are all those other demanding things. And even if not, if things are not going really according to plan, and if it just seems an irritation more than anything else, well, you're still going to have to put a lot of your energy into relationships. So it might be a great opportunity to sort out things that need to be sorted out. It doesn't look too critical. It really just seems to be about the proper allocation of time and money and other basic resources. Bring your partner onto your page. Share some of your concerns and issues, even if they aren't relevant to the relationship itself. It might be your own financial matters. But certainly where there are shared resources, which time is one of them, and money could be one of them, this is a great opportunity just to bring it out into the open, to make it important, and then you'll be able to carry on with your plans. Scorpio, it looks like a really resourceful month for you. It looks like you've got access to all sorts of new things. You might have met new people in the last month or so, or you might just have become aware of new possibilities and new things which are available to you. Make sure you take advantage of those, but be very careful. In many ways, things are not exactly what they seem. Luckily, Scorpios are a little bit better than most in sensing that and sensing what's not really so good for you. So just make sure that all your alarm systems are alert, but you can certainly benefit from whatever's available to you. You also need to be careful, though, in your personal life, where some of those things are not as visible as we would like, or some things are coming to the surface, which you might overreact to. You need to tread very carefully. Be gentle with your partner. Make sure you encourage them to share rather than challenge them or threaten them in any way. And also make sure that whatever is going on, whether that's to do with things that they are sharing or things that you're discovering and that have come to the surface, just make sure that you also try and handle those in a careful and gentle manner, because things are not what they seem. It also applies, though, to where you might be having the wool pulled over your eyes. Things are not what they seem in so many different ways, that this is a month about being clear, being focused, and making sure that miscommunication doesn't add to the problem. Sagittarius, there's been a bit of a shift of energy for you, and finally, things can get going in a more dynamic way. Not that things have been going badly at all, but now's the time to really move ahead with some of the things that you've been thinking about or percolating. Lots of opportunities and possibilities have arisen in recent times. And over the months ahead, there are going to be opportunities to put those into practice. And this particular month is the first of those opportunities. It does mean that there's some old baggage that you have to get out of the way, in common with one of the themes that is affecting many of us at the moment. And it doesn't look like particularly difficult or troublesome old baggage. It just means make sure you tie up some loose ends and some unfinished business before you go ahead, but it is time to go ahead. So no more procrastinating or waiting for that to be done. Many Sagittarians will be able to travel at this time, but it doesn't look like travel is the ideal thing. It really should be time to be focusing more on goals and your own stuff happening. Still, it's not a bad thing either. Nevertheless, this is really a time to expect your own goals to produce the best possible gains for you. There might even be a little bit of conflict or confrontation that is required to get some of the old baggage out of the way so that those goals can really happen for you. It's full steam ahead for Capricorn. You might have been having it a little bit easy for a while, maybe taking a little bit of a break, or things have just been moving slowly. But now in the month of June, it is all systems go. That's especially true for your goals, your professional goals, but all other goals as well. If there's been something you've been meaning to do, something that you need to do, now is the time to go ahead and make it happen. It's a great opportunity to rope in any help or resources that you need from other people. But you're going to have to make yourself very clear. It doesn't look like everyone is on the same page as you. So there could also be a few exercises in patience for Capricorns in the month ahead. What you can do is share your bigger picture. That's going to help you get your message across, whether it's something important or something personal. This is really the time to make sure that everyone gets on the same page as you by having a vision and sharing that vision. This is a great time to have visions for the greater good in any kind of a way, whether you've got some great big plan that affects your community or your environment or something bigger than yourself that you might be involved with. Now's the time to do it. Some of you, that just means you're going to have to deal with the body corporate or the committee or something like this, but this is still a great opportunity to get your ideas across and actually make them into action. So make it happen. Aquarius, things are moving more slowly than you might want them to move, but you need to know that they are actually moving. You could be experiencing frustration. It might seem to you as if nobody is paying attention to what you're trying to do or nothing is responding to you. But in fact, if you look very carefully, the opposite is actually true. So Aquarius, it's time just to take a couple of steps backwards, bring yourself back down to earth. People might find you a little bit distant at the moment, or a little bit remote seeming, and that's pretty much the opposite of where you'd feel yourself to be or where you are trying to be at this particular time. So make sure you are being properly heard. And the way that you're going to have to do that is by renegotiating and bringing yourself back to the level of everyone that you need to communicate with. You being seen as remote can also make you being seen as talking in some kind of a top-down fashion, and that isn't what you really want at this time. It's important also to sort out conflict and other interpersonal matters that need to be resolved. It does look like there's a great opportunity to really make relationships work at the moment, but it's all about communication, and you're not doing that very well at the moment. So communicate clearly, make sure you're being understood. That's true at the personal life and in terms of bigger goals, and from there, everything can work better for you. Pisces, they may call you the dreamer, but sometimes a dream is just what it takes to make important things happen in your life. And this June could very well be a time to start making some of your dreams come true. And that really means envisioning things and putting them into action. You might have been spending a lot of time on the envisioning side, and sometimes that just becomes time spent wasting time. This is the challenge to actually turn some of those into reality. That is also going to mean letting go of some of your ideals and visions to make space for what is real at the moment. That's going to lead to the best results. Remember also your core value system is really about your spiritual life. This is also an important time to get your spiritual life back onto track in some way, whether that's personal spirituality like meditation or visiting a church or a temple or whatever your normal routine is. It does look like you're beginning to feel a little bit disconnected from the world, or perhaps overwhelmed by all the terrible things that seem to be happening in the world around us. And you are easily affected by global and group energies like that. So just ground yourself by focusing on what's real, engaging some of your ideals and visions into reality, getting your spiritual roots strong again, and forgetting about all the rest because it doesn't really concern you. Sounds like a busy time for us all. I'll be back next week at the usual time.